Well, good afternoon, you all, or I should say morning, maybe evening. Never know where you guys are at. I've got friends all over the world thanks to you guys, and that is very humbling as well as just warms my heart. Seriously, you guys all know I love you. Now, you guys all also know that my son had his wisdom teeth pulled here recently, right? Right. And that sucks. I think you all remember, I know I do. It really is a pain, and not being able to eat, and especially when last night we made a special meal of his favorite, it was an accident, French dip. Now, I saved him plenty of leftovers because, well, he is my son, and he's one of my kids I love dearly. Now, some things I got to thinking about is what happens if something similar happens in an SHTF situation. I mean, when things are down, you might not be lucky enough to have a dentist or a surgeon or a doctor or even a nurse in your group. And if you don't, well, how are you going to take care of something if you get a tooth knocked out from a crazy mule or an elk that wasn't quite dispatched, if you know what I mean, or just a wild Arkansas living, right? Or I don't know if you've all seen Dangerous Freedom lately, but his dancing could get a tooth knocked out. So anyway, what happens if that happens? Or what happens if you get a bad tooth because there is no dentist around and you have to yank it out yourself? Yeah, that's right, that sound effect didn't quite work. I can't do it. There we go. That probably looked bad. Anyway, if you had to pull a tooth out, well, do you even have the stuff necessary to take care of it? So let's go over that real quick here. Now, I'm not going to go over the full list of things because always seek out a doctor or qualified personnel. I am not any of those things. I don't even know how to spell them, okay? But at first, you're going to have lots of bleeding. That's a given. You're going to need to keep gauze packed on that bleeding, which is what we did. Now, you won't have the ability to stitch it, or maybe you will if you're lucky, but it's still going to bleed like a dickens, and you've got to keep it gauzed up. So they gave us a bunch of gauzes like this, and what you do is you take them like that, and you just roll them. This is what I found works best. You roll them up like that into a little gauze packet like that, and you shove that baby back in there right above the tooth, and you have them bite down on it. And you have to keep doing that until the bleeding starts to stop, right? And you'll know because it'll go from being just soaked red and coming out their lips to not so soaked red and just on a part of it. Now, here's a trick. If you want to stop the bleeding quicker, go ahead and make yourself up some tea. Get any old cheap tea will work. Make a good hot thing of tea, but don't just put a good hot thing in their mouth or you're going to get your tooth knocked out. That's right. So what you want to do is you just want to take and dip it in real quick. Not a lot because you still want some absorbing, or just drip a couple drips on there from the tea bag. That's right, I said tea bag. Anyway, just drip a couple drips on there and then stick that in there. You know, get it on the gauze, right? You got your roll and you just put her right there in your mouth and have them bite down. Now, the reason that works is in the tea, it acts as it constricts the vessels, right? It makes them smaller so they don't want to bleed. And it really does work. Like, it works right away, in fact. In fact, this time, we were able to stop the bleeding real quick because my first son, well, he had to have his out, and well, the bleeding lasted a little longer until we did the tea trick. So this time we did it right off the bat. Okay, second thing, save up pain medications. If you don't use all your pain medications, don't give them away or have a wild party or anything like that. Save them. They're yours and they'll come in handy, because something like this, you're going to need it for the first 2 or 3 days for sure. And that'll help you get your rest that you need, because you're going to need lots of rest. And you just keep changing these packings out every 30 minutes to an hour, depending on how fast they get filled up. And within the first half a day to a day, the bleeding ought to stop. All right? So, now you've done your pain medications right away too. Now, another thing you're going to want to do is your antibiotics, like this. This one right here happens to be azithromycin, but any antibiotic will do in a pinch if it's in an SHTF situation, okay? So you want to go ahead and save up your antibiotics that you don't use, okay? If you have some where you got better before you had to take it, or they gave it to you just in case, save them up. They may work. Or for some of you who save up fish antibiotics, well, I'm sure you've done your research and know what to do with those, but you're going to want to be on those antibiotics for at least 10 days or so. So be saving those up, because they're certainly going to help you heal up inside your mouth, right? Now, another thing you're going to want is you're going to want plenty of napkins or paper towels or whatnot. So, because one thing is there's a lot of drooling going on, and put a towel underneath somebody's head so that when they fall asleep from resting or the medicine, it doesn't get all over the place, right? But have something for them to keep themselves cleaned up, okay? So, another thing too, do not eat anything but liquid food for the first at least 2 days or so, and then even after that, for the first 10 days, say, it's got to be soft food that doesn't need to be chewed, nothing hot, nothing spicy, right? No alcohol, no nothing like that. Just keep it real simple, right? And we'll go over some options here that I found for my son. But one thing to have handy too, because you can't just be scrubbing on your teeth, you've got stitches or an open wound in there from losing a tooth, is if you've ever had your teeth out, or if you can find a syringe like this, get it, because there's going to be a hole in there that you don't want to blast out like a fire hose, but you want to keep it irrigated, at least on the bottom, because gravity will work on the top, but you want to do that on the bottom so that food doesn't gather in there and cause an infection, right? Right. Okay, so keep that in mind. You want to get a syringe, something like that, okay? Now, we got the tea here. Now let's talk about what you can take with your pain medications. Believe it or not, most people don't know this, but they recommend taking ibuprofen with the pain medication, or even says on here, if you don't have pain medication, ibuprofen will work just fine, and to take it as needed, okay? So this helps keep the swelling down as well, which is important. And speaking of swelling, you're gonna wanna rotate ice packs as soon as you can. Keep them on both sides, and as soon, or whichever side you lost the tooth, if it was a right hook or a left hook, you know, or a roundhouse kick, right? Keep that ice pack on there to keep the swelling down, because the more swelling you can keep down, the better. But ibuprofen will help you too. Just make sure to take these things on a full stomach, and make sure not to overtake them once you don't need them. All right, that's important. Now, let's talk about some of the things you can do to help get you through the days of when you can't be eating. First off, my son loved apple juice, so have something that they like, some sort of juice like apple juice, Hawaiian punch, right? That's a good one. Have things like this here, like, oh, well, here, these are excellent, right? These are even good for adults that are in a hurry, or if you're trying to lose weight or whatnot, or if you're not a breakfast eater but you should be. Go ahead and get yourself some of these protein shakes. They got them in generic and non-generic, but they got 30 grams. That's what you want to look for. 30 grams of protein, right? One of these is more filling than you'd actually think, but it's not super bad for you or super filling. So one of these would be real good because you can't eat food. So I'd recommend something like this, one of these milkshakes, and then some apple juice and other juices, as well as water. Don't forget water, but not coffee, not yet, okay? Until things start to heal up more. That'll help you get through it. But then after the first day into the second day, right, they're gonna want something a little more filling, something they can eat, right? So you're gonna get things like Jell-O. See that? Yeah, that's the kind of stuff like you get in the hospital. We like that Jell-O. It's like, you know, like wiggly wiggly and jiggly jiggly. I like that stuff. It's fun to play with. Watch it wiggle, see it jiggle. Okay, now he also likes, I like pudding. Now my son prefers tapioca, so either of those things will work. They can slurp that down just fine, but make sure to rinse your mouth after you're done, right? Okay, now as they get more healed up, you can have things like home style chicken noodle soup, as long as it doesn't have a whole lot of big chunks in it. Okay, make sure it's all kind of cut up or smashed up in there, or if it's just a small style with little bits pieces that he can just swallow or she can just swallow, this is a good thing to have. Plus, everybody knows that chicken soup makes you feel loved, right? So that's a good thing. Now, other things too, you can make up some top ramen, but before you make the top ramen, smash it up in the bag so it's just little pieces. Then go ahead and make your top ramen, right? All right, now, so that'll get him some sustenance that he needs. Now, as he can have more things that are more chewable, you can get these little, I found that these were worth their weight in gold. Get yourself some of these mac and cheese instant cups, right? Because it's just enough to kind of fill them up but not make them sick and not tax their teeth too much and get stuff in there, and you just follow the instructions, make these up, and they just slurp them down. Plus, everybody likes mac and cheese. So that's what we went from there. Now, the last thing, because we love my son and all my kids, we made them up some sweet mash. Now, you can make regular mash if you want, but sweet mash is for sweet people. So we go ahead and made some sweet mash for him, and that he really appreciated. And those are the things that will be helpful. Now, also, be sure to use soap and hand sanitizer to keep your hands clean when you're fishing around in your mouth, because it's a dirty place and you don't want to cause an infection. Also, remember, you don't always have to use sanitizer, right? You can use soap and water. Soap and water works real good. Just make sure to wash it for at least, say the birthday song, something like that, just a few minutes or, whatnot, and keep your hands clean, right? They'll appreciate it. You certainly don't want to get done wiping in the bathroom and then come in and fishing out somebody's gauze in their mouth. They won't appreciate it. So there you have it. That is what we did for my son. If you have any other ideas, I wanted this video to be a learning experience, not only for me, but for everybody that watches this video. Please put in any advice or comments or whatever in the comment section, and let me know what you have in your little books of tricks for teeth that get knocked out, broken, or just removed. And that way I can put it into my prepping book as well. And everybody watching can see it too, because this isn't just about me. It isn't just about you. It's about all of us, the community. And that right now is more important than you could know. So thanks again for watching. Go ahead and put your comments in the comment section. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Ring that little bell. And be sure to share this out right now, because we're almost to the drawing point. It's getting closer every day. All right? And I will see you on the next one. And as we always say, be safe, be secure, be aware of your surroundings, and always be prepared for what may come your way. Maybe a right hook, maybe a left hook. Heck, you might just fall down because you had too much to drink at Dangerous Freedom After Dark. I'll see you guys later. Adios.